Here's a stat that should genuinely bother you. 75% of the world's richest people built their wealth through business ownership, 15% through investing, 7% inherited it, 3% through elite skills in sports or entertainment, and salaried employees? 0%. Not a small percentage. 0. If that number just made your stomach drop a little, good. That's the appropriate reaction. Because most of us grew up being told the exact opposite. Get good grades, get a stable job, work hard, and the money follows eventually. Nobody ever mentioned that the entire category of working hard for someone else's company doesn't actually appear anywhere near the top of that list. So let's talk about why, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it starting with your very next paycheck. Here's the thing every single one of those 4 wealthy categories has in common. They own something. Entrepreneurs own businesses. Investors own assets. Heirs own trusts. Elite performers own a rare, hard-to-replace skill. Ownership is the actual common thread, not talent, not luck, not even income level. If you don't own anything, something else ends up owning you. Your job, your bills, your landlord, whichever creditor got to you first. That's genuinely uncomfortable to sit with, especially if you're currently trading 40+ hours a week for a paycheck that disappears within days of hitting your account. But here's the actual good news. You don't need to already be rich to start owning things. You need a system. Let me walk you through the one I've used for over a decade, built specifically so it works at any income level. 25% toward growth, 15% toward stability, 50% toward needs, and 10% toward joy. The first 25%, growth, money that works for you instead of the other way around. Most people get paid, cover their bills, and blow whatever's left on things that evaporate by the weekend. That's not a character flaw. It's how the entire system is quietly designed. You're rich for about a week after payday and broke by the end of the month, which means next month you're working even harder just to catch up. It's a loop, and it's a remarkably effective one at keeping people exactly where they are. The fix is brutally simple to say and genuinely hard to do. The first 25% of every paycheck goes straight into assets, things that grow in value over time before you touch a single bill. Here's why starting early matters more than almost anything else in this entire system. Picture 2 people. Ben starts investing $200 a month at age 20. Diane starts investing $300 a month, but not until 30. Fast forward to age 60, and they've both stopped contributing. On paper, Ben put in less total money, roughly $96,000 versus Diane's $108,000. But they weren't just saving. They were investing and assuming a historical average return around 10% a year, roughly what a broad U.S. stock index has delivered over the past century. The actual numbers flip completely. Diane's contributions grow to around $678,000. Ben's grow to over $1.26 million. He put in $12,000 less and ended up with nearly $600,000 more, purely because he started a decade earlier. That's compound growth, and it does not care how you feel about starting small. It only cares whether you started. For where to actually put that 25%, think of it as a ladder from safer to riskier. At the bottom, broad index funds. You're not picking winners, just buying a slice of the whole market and letting time do the work. Next, real estate, whether that's a rental property or a real estate investment trust if you don't have capital for a full property. In the middle, income-generating skills, copywriting, editing, coding, sales. The fastest return on investment that exists, because unlike stocks, nobody can repossess a skill, though it does take real time to build. Higher up, online businesses, which can pay off big but demand real effort and tolerance for failure. Near the top, individual stocks, which are mostly guesswork unless you genuinely understand what you're buying. Small amounts for fun, never your whole portfolio. And at the very top, speculative assets like crypto or collectibles. genuinely capable of huge gains, and genuinely capable of vanishing overnight. Treat that tier like a lottery ticket, never like a retirement plan. The next 15%, stability, the fund that keeps you in the game. I learned this one the hard way. At 18, needing a car for work with zero savings, I financed a decent used car, splurged on a sound system with what was left, and felt unstoppable for about 3 months. Then the engine failed. No cushion, no backup plan, and losing that car meant losing the job. So I took on more debt to fix it. One mechanical failure set my finances back an entire year. If I'd had even a modest stability fund, that whole disaster would have been a minor inconvenience instead of a full financial reset. Most people's real problem isn't income. It's the complete absence of a buffer, which means one unexpected bill turns into a cascading crisis. And if your money's tied up in investments, you're forced to sell at exactly the wrong moment. Here's how to build it. Add up your essential monthly costs: rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, insurance, and multiply by 5. That number is your target stability fund. Every paycheck, 15% goes toward it until it's full. Where you keep this money matters as much as having it. 3 rules. It needs to be accessible within about a day, with 0 penalties for withdrawing it. This isn't the money for a 5-year lock-in account. It needs 0 risk. Never in the stock market, never in crypto, never in anything designed to grow long-term. Because when a real crisis hits, markets are frequently down at the exact same time. And it should still earn something modest, like a high-yield savings account, so inflation isn't quietly eating it while it sits idle. To build it fast, automate the transfer the moment your paycheck lands, before you can spend it. When you dip into it for an emergency, treat it as a personal loan you owe yourself, and pay it back in full the next paycheck. And use small automatic tools, round-up savings apps, cashback rewards routed straight into the fund. Tiny amounts that add up faster than they feel like they should. The next 50%, needs. The money that feeds you, not your ego. Here's a stat that should sound impossible and isn't. More than 60% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year live paycheck to paycheck. Income isn't the actual bottleneck for most people. Leakage is. I had a friend in my 20s who looked genuinely successful. Branded clothes, a nice watch, constantly out. I looked the opposite. Plain clothes, a cheap watch, spending as little as possible. What nobody could see, he had about $40 in his account and a couple of missed credit card payments. I had a modest but real investment account and an actual emergency cushion. Real wealth is quiet. It's rarely the thing you can see from across the room. To keep this category honest, get specific about what actually counts as a need. Housing, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, basic clothing. The stuff that keeps you alive and functioning, not the upgraded version of it. What doesn't count? Forgotten subscriptions. A gym membership you haven't used since January. Takeout you didn't need. Streaming services you keep meaning to cancel. Go through your statement and cut anything that isn't actually keeping you alive, working, or healthy. Why cap this at 50% specifically? Because most people are quietly spending 60 to 70% of their income here without realizing it, which leaves nothing for the other 3 categories no matter how much they earn. 2 categories deserve special attention: housing and transportation, because they're usually the biggest line items by far. Always negotiate rent renewals. Landlords generally prefer keeping a tenant over the cost of turning over a unit, so a small ask can save real money. If you need to go further, consider house hacking, a roommate, temporarily moving in with family, anything that buys you breathing room while you build your cushion. On transportation, car payments are one of the biggest quiet wealth killers there is. Financing a depreciating asset for the sake of appearances. A reliable used car that's already through its steepest depreciation curve does the same job for a fraction of the cost. At least until you can genuinely afford better without financing it. The last 10%, joy, the reward that actually makes this sustainable. Here's something worth being honest about. Over 90% of people who go on a strict savings plan eventually overspend anyway, because saving with zero joy attached to it starts to feel like punishment, and nobody sustains punishment for long. That's exactly why this last 10% exists. Not as an excuse, but as a strategy. The same way a planned cheat meal makes a diet survivable instead of something you white-knuckle for 2 weeks and abandon. Spend it deliberately on things with real, lasting value. Travel. Even short trips buy you memories and genuine stress relief. Hobbies. Whatever actually lights you up outside of work. Social time. Dinners. Events. The relationships that keep you from waking up successful and completely alone, which is a genuinely common regret among people who optimized everything except their social life. And gifts for people you care about. Not because you need more stuff, but because the gesture is what actually builds connection. Automated the same way as everything else. A separate account, 10% of every paycheck, no exceptions, and critically, never borrow from this account to top up any of the other 3. If it empties, wait for next month. Knowing the amount is genuinely limited is exactly what makes you spend it wisely instead of guiltily. So that's the full system. 25% building your future, 15% protecting your present, 50% covering what actually keeps you alive, and 10% making the whole thing bearable enough to actually stick with for years, instead of quitting after 3 exhausted weeks. None of this requires a 6-figure salary to start. It requires starting today with whatever percentage of whatever you're currently earning. Because the version of you 5 years from now is either going to thank you for beginning now or resent you for waiting until it felt more comfortable. It was never going to feel comfortable. Start anyway.